Most people build dashboards in browsers or notebooks or other tools, and let's be honest, they feel limited. But what if you could build a real desktop application with buttons, live charts, smooth UI, and real time data using just Python? And today we're going to do exactly that, building out an interactive stock application using Flet. No JavaScript, no more headaches, just Python code that updates as your data changes. By the end of this video, you're going to have your own stock application that you can have fun with, share with others, or even deploy on your own. Guys, I have videos coming out every single Thursday. Make sure you subscribe to follow along in all the fun. Welcome to the channel. Here we are, guys, inside VS Code, where we're going to build out our Flet stock application. This is going to have live data, real charts, and we're going to use the Alpha Vantage API to handle this for us. Okay, so really the most important part here is how to get a Flet project built up and ready to go. In your terminal, we are going to need Flet. And we are going to need requests. You can run that, install that if you want to do a virtual environment. Let's actually do the virtual environment now. I'm going to run Python 3-m venv to create myself a virtual environment. Then I am on a Mac, so I'm going to type source venv/bin/activate. Activate. There we go. And we can see here that my list only contains pip. So here is where we are going to do Flet and we are going to do requests. This is just going to house everything nice for us. You know, it's good practice to create a virtual environment. And there we have everything set up. If I go pip list again, you can see that, boom, I have Flet, we have requests and everything else that they put with Flet. Most of this comes from Flet. So I'm going to now import Flet as FT so we know where everything's coming from. I'm going to import requests. And if you don't already, it's absolutely free, but you're going to need an Alpha Vantage API key. I already have mine in a different file called config.py. You can't have mine. Sorry, guys, but I'm going to bring that in here. So I'm going to say from config, I want to import my API key that we can use as we build this out. Okay, so we need to create the main Flet interface. And really, a lot of GUI frameworks are class-based. Flet is actually a function-based framework. So when we build this out, we are typically going to create a function called main, and we're going to define the page. The page is like your canvas where everything is going to go in your application, and we're going to use the Flet page class to represent this. Okay, so anything I put in this function, this really is the app. At the top here, we can build out the app settings if you have any, and this would be things like your page title. What do you want your app to be called? Let's call our app Gotcha Stock. We can give our page a theme mode. So Flet has a few theme modes here. Where is my theme mode? We can do light, dark, or system. And I typically just do light. Okay. And then the great thing about Flet is we can use a lot of like CSS stylings, not like CSS, like padding is if you've worked with CSS. It's the same concept. I could give some padding to my app. We can give a window. Let's give it a window width, and let's give it a window height is probably going to be good. When the app spawns, it's going to be a height of 700. And when the app spawns, we will have a width of, let's just say 1000. Right. So these are just the initial app settings that we can help style out our app. We're then going to create some kind of state variables. And really, these are going to be, I should put here, these are the widgets in our app. But I'm going to define them now, and then I'll have the ability to edit them later. We're going to have something like a stock symbol. And for now, I'm just going to put a reference to it. Okay, I'm going to copy and paste this. Everything I make here is going to be a reference. And these are just the widgets. We'll have a container for our chart. we're going to have the price info of the stock. We will have the price text. This is going to appear under the actual stock itself. If we have any errors, we will handle these with messages. And then finally, we're going to have a time range drop down. I want the ability to choose the range, 1 month, 2 weeks, 3 months, to view the stock at that. Now, what this is a class that allows us to make a reference to a widget in our app to where I can kind of define it now, but then I can update the state at a later point. And really, our stock symbol, we need to type something in. And this is what we call a text field, which is going to allow us to actually enter real text and use that at some point in the application. Our chart for now is just going to be a container that we can drop things into. Our info, well, actually, all of these are just going to be containers. The price info, price text below, any error messages. The last one, though, is going to be a drop down box, just like that. Okay, so we have defined all these state variables, which are really widgets that we can then use in our application. Super cool. If you guys head on over, maybe I'll just put here for you guys. Let's just say read the Flet documentation. It's really good. Not gonna lie, it's really visual, it's really detailed, it is really good. Okay, so when I type something, it pops up with this. This is just an extension. But if I scroll down, it explains what is happening, which is great, but the documentation is even better than this. So going forward, I need to create some kind of function for the time range for the stock. And we will just make a function here. I'm going to call this get days for range. And this is going to be like a range name that we will choose later. And for now, I'm going to store these in a dictionary. I'm going to have 1 week. This is just going to be 7 days. We're going to have 2 weeks. This will be 14. I have a lot of fun in these video guys. If you get value, consider hitting that like button and subscribe to stay tuned for all the fun. That really means the world. Guys, the link in the descriptions, they're dedicated to helping you wherever you're at in your Python journey. Head on down to the links. That's my Python newsletter, my ebooks, our Discord, my masterclass. Everything is there wherever you're at to help you get to where you want to be. Those are the links in the description. We're going to have 30 days. This is, you guessed it, 30 days. We will have 90 days. I'll be able to choose one of these from the dropdown that will allow the stock to return in that. And then we'll say 1 year. This is what, 365. And then I guess we can go all the way out to 5 years, which, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I think I have here 5 years is this number of days. Okay, so we can choose, if I choose 2 weeks, this is going to be used to calculate the stock with our API. And I'm just going to return here the ranges. We want to get the range name that we specify. If we don't choose a range name, it'll automatically just assume we want 30 days. Okay, so excellent. Now we have the actual range, which is representing the value of days as an integer that we can use later. But the label, which is like 1 week, 2 weeks, we are going to need to get that. So let's just say get range label. This is just, I guess, my way of doing this. And I'm just going to return here the range name so I can call this function later. It's just going to get display label for the time range. Okay, excellent. Now comes really a lot of the fun stuff. So we want to fetch the stock with our API. This is probably the longest part of the project, but we need to fetch the stock data. And this is going to be triggered by an event. So I'm just going to put E in there. We need to get the symbol for the stock, and we created, if you remember, I made up here a text field called stock symbol. Whatever I type in this text field, that represents it. And so, for example, if I type in, I think GOOGL, that's the Google stock indicator, or APPL is Apple, that is going to be used, and we need to capture that. So the symbol is actually equal to the stock symbol. We want to get the current, whoops, the current value from that. And we want to make sure that it's all uppercase because that's what the API requires. And we're going to strip off any accidental white space. We want to get the time range. What did we choose? So I'm going to say here, time range dropdown. We want the current, we want the value, or if we don't have a value, we're just going to choose here 30 days. That is the value. Then finally, the days, we are going to call our get days range, and we are going to give it our time range. Okay, so this should be some kind of text. If I choose 1 week in my dropdown, it is going to go to the key and it's going to return this integer number. And that's really what days is going to be. This is going to be an integer number that we get back. Okay. Let's do a quick error handling thing. So we're not trying to accept, but if there is no symbol, we need to tell the user because that's mandatory. I'm going to say error messages. I must have called it that. We are going to say the current content is now equal to a text value. So text is a class from Flet. We can put text on the screen, and I'm just going to say here, please enter stock symbol. We are going to give this, let's say, some what styling do I want for this? Let's give this a color, and this is going to be equal to ft colors, and I'm going to say here red with a size of 14. Okay, so these are just the keyword arguments, the quarks that we can drop in there. We're going to take our error messages, and we're going to say the current message is now visible, and we can set this to true. I want to see that error message on the screen. The price info should not be visible, because there's no price to return. We're getting an error. The price text below, again, let's just copy this because it's not visible. And then finally, the chart container is also not visible. Now, anytime we make changes, okay, remember, this function is our main page. Anytime we make changes that should update, we need to tell Flet that, hey, I've done something, you need to refresh the application. I can take page and I'm just going to say update. If you don't do update, it's not going to do anything for your app and you won't see those changes. Okay, so this was like quick mini air handle. I'll just drop that there. Okay, very cool. So we have this now. So otherwise, the error messages are not going to be visible. Okay, so error messages are visible. No, we don't want to see those unless there's an error. This text content, again, we should not see this if there's no error. So I'm just going to delete the text. We don't want to see anything there. You can keep the other stylings. It doesn't actually affect anything. Okay, excellent. So when we search for stock, we want to, well, I guess, load the stock. That's the goal, right? So load the stock, which takes a few seconds. So this is going to be waiting for something. Let's create some kind of text that is going to just alert the user to like, hey, we're loading stock. So I'll say loading stock data, dot, dot, dot. We'll give it a quick size, and then we will give it a color, and we will say ft colors, and let's do here blue. That's a good color. I'm a big fan of blue. Okay, so we're loading. We're going to take our chart container, the current content. We don't have a chart yet, so really it's just going to display the text. And then we do want to make sure that this is visible. So we'll say visible is true. We want to see the screen. We made changes. What do we need to do if we want to see these in our application? We need to take the page and we need to update the page. Something is happening. It's time to make those changes. Okay. Awesome. Let's fetch the API data. Okay. So we are going to try to do this, right? So using exception handling. This is going to give us back a lot of data. I already have the URL here. This is provided over on the Alpha Vantage API. Okay. And I'm really after the time series data. I'm going to give it the symbol like Apple, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, you name it. And then we're passing it the API key as an F string. Okay. Okay, so we have the URL. What do we do to get data from a URL? Well, we need to create a response. If you've ever worked with quick API calls, it's the same gist. We're going to say requests. We want to get information back from the URL. This is going to return a bunch of data, but we want to store this data as JSON because JSON is just like a Python dictionary. It makes it super, super easy to work with. Within this JSON return data, I just want to access specifically time series daily. Okay, that is a key in the JSON return value that we get back. And so I have access to all the JSON data, but really just the time series data. Now, I want you to think about this. We have this data. What do we want to specifically get? Because we need to give it something to return the specific data we're after. We want to give it or get the data for a selected time range. So I'm going to take our dates or create dates, and we are going to create a list out of these and sort these. I'm going to take my time series, which is where's my time series? Fine. Time series. Okay, I have my time series here. No, this is good. Okay, so we have our time series. I didn't want to confuse it with the names or anything. And from this, we are going to get the keys. Okay, that's going to create a list, and then the sorted makes a list. We're going to say reverse is equal to true. And we want to start here and go until the remainder of days. All right, I have my dates. We sorted those, took my keys, reverse days. I'm going to take the dates and we are going to now just reverse the dates. Excellent. Time to make, or I should say, prep the charts. We have a bunch of prices in stocks. We have opens, we have highs, we have lows, and we have closes. Okay, so each of these is going to need a list of their own. I'm just going to unpack these here in a single line. So all the data coming out should be appended to these lists at some stage, which I'm going to actually do now. For every date in my dates, I want to get the day data. We want to get the open price. We want the high price, all these prices. We want the low price and the closing price. So we need to get these values. Where do you think we can get these values from? Well, I'll start with the first one. Day data is actually going to come back from our JSON. So I'm going to say time series. Let's just give it our date. Open price is going to be a decimal. So we'll say decimal. We're going to say day data. And inside here, it is called one open. Okay, so I'm just going to copy all of this actually because it's going to be roughly the same for each. They're all floats, but we're going to have to go 2, 3, and 4. Just change the names, right? Open, high, low, close. Okay. Once we have all this information, let's go through. I have my opens. We are going to append our open price. We have our highs. Let's append our high price. What is next? We have our lows, append, right? So now I'm going through here and I'm just storing all of these in our lists that ultimately we are going to append these onto a real interactive chart to visualize these. Now let's get the latest data real quick before we create this chart. We need to get the latest data for the price display. So I'm going to say sorted time series keys. We will say reverse is true, and let's get the first one. We are going to take our latest data and we can say time series and index latest data. Time to make some charts in Flet. All right, guys. So most of I guess the Pythonic API stuff is done, right? Everything so far was Flet. Let's Let's make the charts. Now, this is great. We don't need matplotlib, plotly, anything like that. Flet has this built in, which is super fun, super useful. So let's go through by starting to update price info first. I'm going to get the price info, and we want to get the current content. This is going to be equal to a column. Okay, so any type of GUI framework, really everything is kind of housed in containers. And these containers are usually columns and rows. And this is how we structure things out to get things exactly where we want to. So a column is just a type of container. In this price info, I'm going to start off by just building a container around it, which will be a column. And I want to stack things in the order that we want to see them. Okay, so I'm going to add some text here. I'm going to say stock. I'm going to give it the symbol of stock we have. I want to see that. We can display a size. In the size, we'll just put for 24. We can say here, let's do a weight for that. So I can say weight. Let's say FT font weight is going to be bold. And let's do some colors. Colors, that little box keeps popping up. Kind of bugs me a little bit, but I do find it helpful when I'm not here filming. Colors, let's do like a blue again. Blue 700 will probably work. These are different shades of blue. Comma, okay, because we're adding. That's the first item. The next item is going to be, let's honestly just copy and paste this item here. Okay, it's not going to say stock. We're going to say date. We are going to put here the latest date. A size, let's make it a little smaller. And weight can be bold. I'll keep it as bold. Let's change the color to say like, is gray English spelling or, nope, British spelling here. Let's do like a gray of 700. Okay. And then let's divide up the information. I'm going to make a divider and I'm just going to say height is 1. This will be like a clear line on the page to split all this data. Now that's at the top. We start with the stock name and the date. I now want to list all the open, high, low, and close price in a neat row directly under it. I'm inside a column, but I'm going to make a row inside my column. Forgot a comma. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to make a row inside there. And inside here, inside this row is now just a container. Okay. In this container, we can put all of our content in. Okay, so I'll say content. This will be a column. And I want to stack the data on top of each other. It's going to be like open, and then it's going to say the actual price. So for example, let's take our text and let's put here like, I didn't need an F string, but we're going to do it anyways. Open, size is equal to 12, color is equal to FT colors. Let's do here gray. Where's my Y? 600 is probably good for this. Okay. And then directly under that, I'll just take this, not a big deal. We are going to put real data here. We're going to put our float price. Okay, so I'm going to say float latest data, and we need to give it 1 open. Let's just round this down. Okay, so I'll just round it down to 2 decimals. The size, this is a bit more important. Let's buffer out the size, add some padding. And I suppose we can do a font weight. Okay, so let's say weight is equal to FT font weight. We're going to go here bold. And for color, what color am I using? Blue. Let's use a blue. Darker blue is probably better. 900. Okay, excellent, excellent, excellent. Don't forget a comma. That's going to break things in the end. Okay, so we have all of our data here. Really, these are the only two things we're going to be adding. So over here, we can give a little bit of spacing between them. I'll just say spacing is equal to 5. And then we can style out the container. What do you want the container to look like? I'm going to have some padding. We could give it a BG color. This is going to be the background of the entire parent container. Because I'm doing blue, let's do a really low blue. Blue 50? That's pretty low. We're gonna round the edges. Border radius, I don't like sharp edges. And then we can say expand is true. Okay, so really this is one single row in it all. And yeah, look, I'll be honest, this is a lot of typing. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna copy the entire container. I'm gonna mark this. That's 1. This is 2, this is 3, and this is 4. Okay, so we just need to change the data. We have open. What's the next one going to be? Well, the next one is going to be high. Okay, so I'm going to put here high. We need to do 2 high. The color of this we can change. Let's do like a green 900. This might look awful. Don't judge me on the coloring part. Just trying to mix it up here. Color background color for this we can also do, since we're doing blue, we'll do green 50. Done. Okay. The next one is going to be low. We are going to do 3 low. Again, I suppose, what color do we want here? Let's do a red of 900. Red. And change this to say red, right? So I'm saving myself a lot of time. But to recap, this is a row. And this row is going to have multiple containers. They're automatically put next to each other. And this is going to display all the stats about the stock. Oh, this green is going to give me an error. Caught that. The last one is, what is our last one? Our close, right? So I'm going to say close here. What color haven't I used? I don't know. Let's do, is purple. Purple's on here, right? Purple 900. Okay, we'll do purple 900 for this. Change this to say 4. This should say close. And this should be purple 50. Excellent. Okay, so our row is officially done. We have this. We're going to give a little bit of spacing now between all of these items as 10, and that's done. Whoops. Okay, perfect. At this point, the price info needs to all be visible. We want to show this price info. So I'm going to say visible is true. Cool. We've touched on containers. Time to, whoops, where am I? I need to make sure I'm at the right place. Price info. I want to be here. Okay. Make the charts. So we have all this data. The data's working, but we want to actually make our chart. All we need to do for our chart is we'll make an object chart, and Flet has built in all these different charts. Line chart. That's all I'm going to say here. And it even tells us the data series that we need to give it. I'm going to say data series is equal to, well, in our case, it's going to be line chart data. So let's say line chart data. And then there are going to be data points. What data points are we passing in here? These data points are going to be a single data point. So I'm going to say here, line chart data point. We're going to start, or I'm going to give it I, and we're going to go through closes I, right? So closes is a list, right? And all we're pretty much mapping out here is going to be our closing price. That's really what matters to us. And I'm going to say here, because I'm in a list, for I in range, the length of my closes list. Okay, so I just did a comprehension, a list comprehension. We have a single element in there, which is a line chart data point, and we're just looping through with the for loop for the length of that list. You can do some chart stylings here, I think. Okay, yeah, I was right. Stroke width is going to be one of these. We are going to give a color, so FT colors. I'm going to do orange. I like orange. I do. And then I suppose we can say here below line. Yeah, okay. So it's going to have a line, but right under the line is going to be shaded in. Let's do like a different shade of orange to show that. Excellent day. Okay, so we have this, we have this. We are going to create a border around here. So this is going to be FT border, and this will be a border around our chart. Really, all of these will be the same, which is kind of annoying that I have to make these, but once we make one, it's just copy and paste. I'll say FT border. Is it border side? Must be border side. I will say 4. We're going to FT colors. We're going to do width opacity of 0.5, 0.5, and we are going to give it FT colors. I want to get the surface colors, so I think I can say here on surface. Excellent. Okay, copy this line, and we're just going to go 1, 2, 3. I've already said bottom, left, top, right. Okay, so that's going to help us just add like a border around it with an opacity of 50% using the color that's on the surface, which in our case is just orange. All right, we've added this. Really, our chart's almost done, I think. Let's try and do an axis mark. Okay, so our left axis is going to be equal to FT chart axis. And we're going to go here with our label size of a 50. That looks good to me. We can do here a bottom axis. Again, FT chart axis. And inside here, we'll do label size. We'll make this a bit bigger. And we can also give here an interval. Interval, let's just give this max of 1 or the length of closes divided by 10. That should work. Because, I mean, our app's big. It's just not big enough. And then our last few final touches here. When we hover, we're going to get data, the exact price on the data point we're hovering. So what I can do here is let's just actually copy this. I'm going to give an opacity color. Let's increase this to like 0.8. And let's change this to be like a blue gray. That's a color. I was right indeed. We're going to have a min Y. We are going to have a max Y. We're going to have a min X. We're going to have a max X. Our min Y is just going to be the minimum of our closes list times 95. Our max Y is going to be the max of the closes list times 1.05, a little bit of a buffer zone. Min X can be 0. I'm forgetting my commas here, aren't I? And our max X can be the length of closes, the length of our closes list, minus 1. Then I guess the last thing we'll just say expand, true. Boom. That is a lot of stuff. All that's design stuff, right? Everything we did here. This is all design, but this looks really good. Our chart, where's my chart container? This is my original chart container. The current value to the chart container is going to be our content is equal to FT container. Let's build a quick container around here. We're going to give some content and we're going to create a column. And inside this column, we can give it some text. So let's say text is equal to closing prices minus get range label. This is going to be my range. I'm going to give it the time range. And we're going to put here as parentheses, let's get the symbol. I suppose we can give it a size of 18, a weight. And finally, let's just give it our chart. The chart, where did my chart go? Okay, very cool. So we have our chart. And I guess with any good container, we will say spacing is 10. Okay, so we have this column. Quick styling out. We're going to give padding of 20. We are going to give a border. We can say FT border all, a thickness of 2, and some colors. We're just going to do a gray color here. Gray, not too dark. Gray 300 is probably fine. And then a border radius 10. Excellent. Take your chart container. The current container should be set to visible to see it. This is now marked as true. We're almost done. We can run this here in a few minutes. I'm just going to add the price text below the chart now. Okay, so I made a variable price text below. The current content is just going to be equal to text content. And really, I'm just going to put a bunch of strings in here. Okay, so I'm going to say here open. This is going to be our, what is this? What is this? My float data of the latest data, but we need to say one open. Let's make sure that this is rounded down so we can see that at the bottom. And let's just give like a bar for like a spacing line, because really this is all going to be one string. 2, 3, 4. We're going to go open, high, low, close, change our numbers to 2, 3, and 4. All right, so now we're just changing the data here. This is, whoops, what is that word? How do you pronounce that? Low, again, butchered that, low, and our close. Excellent. I think I styled that good. This is all the same exact text box, right? I'm just giving them as multiple F strings, but they're going to appear next to each other on the bottom. The weights, FT font weights, I like to do bold. Let's make them clear. And then a style that we can give here, text align. Let's just say FT. They have a class called text align for styling, and we're going to center that. Our price text below, the current is now visible. I hope you're starting to see how this visible things works. We build things out, then we show them when we want to be true. We are done with that. We started with a try many minutes ago. We're going to do a quick exception here. And I made an exception earlier. I don't want to type that. Where did we make that? Error message. This. I'm going to copy all that. And I'm just going to drop this in here. Okay, so if there's an error message, we're just going to say error fetching data, ... We're going to keep the color red. It is true. Everything else is false. Excellent. Any changes? Let's actually make this an F string real quick. Error fetching data, E. Okay, now we're using it. Any changes? Page update. Whoa. Okie dokie. Now we just need to UI the layout. We've made all this information. I'm going to zoom out for a sec. Okay, I'll zoom back in later. Just to touch base, not sure. This is probably just a linting thing. These strings, it's fine. We made all this stuff earlier, right? We made all these widgets. We did populate them individually now with data. But while these are populated, for example, the chart now does have a chart inside of it. The chart's not on the UI because we didn't add it to the page yet. The chart is only in the container. All of these now need added to our page. So heading down to the bottom here, let me zoom back in for you guys. We are just going to say page dot add. Okay. Inside add, I'm going to structure everything into a column now to keep it nice, stack the order. And then everything inside my column is just going to be a container, right? The container's the column. I have a container. It's just a bunch of these child containers, really. What content do I want here? I want another column. And inside this column, we're going to say like ft text. Let's do this 2 times. Okay. In the first one, let's just call this the Gotcha Stock app on Code with Josh. There we go. Gotcha Stock app on Code with Josh. I dig it. You can style this out. I'm not going to style this right now. Okay. It's just for time at this point. Let's just say here as a hint, enter a stock symbol to view the chart. Dot, dot, dot. Okay, excellent. We're going to give some spacing between those of 5. We can give what we call horizontal alignment. Okay, so I'm going to say FT cross, where is it? Cross axis alignment. We are going to center that stuff. We can now give it here padding. And let's say FT padding only on the bottom. We're going to give 20. Okay. After you build out this project, I want you to go back and review this code. Okay. Really look at what we did. And because we used so many different stylings here that you're able to use this on really any other project. And I've made this in other videos as well. Okay. Let's now enter the search bar and date picker. Okay, so here we're going to create a container. And in this container, well, you guessed it, we are going to need let's content. This is going to be a row. Inside this row, we are going to give it our original text field. Okay, our text field. The reference is going to be our stock symbol. The label is going to be the stock symbol. Hint text, what do you want the user to see? Let's just say like Apple, Google, Microsoft. Type some stocks. That's just a hint the user's going to see. We can give this text box a width. We're going to say autofocus is true. And we're going to say on submit, this is an event. On submit, we want to call our function we made to fetch the stock data. Okay. Under this text field now, we are going to have our drop-down box that we made. So I'm going to say drop-down. The reference that we made at the very, very top is called the time. I called it rage. That's funny. Time rage drop-down. The label is just going to be time range. We're going to say here width is equal to 150. And then I need to give it options. Okay, what options? When I click the drop-down box, there should be a list of options. All we need to do here is say drop-down option. And I'm going to copy this because we're going to need it for how many times do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I think. We have here 1 week, 2 weeks. Okay, so I'm just going to go down and drop these now. And finally, I will give it a starting value of 30 days. As we close out this application, we need a search button. A button is known as an elevated button. I want this button to say get stock data. We're going to give it an icon. Okay, so Flet has a bunch of icons you can use already. They have a search icon. It just makes it look really nice. When I click this, we are going to again call our function we made, fetch stock data. We can give it a style. What style do you want the button to be? Really, this is just going to be the color white for text, and the background color of the button can be blue. Okay, comma. If you forget commas, that's one thing here, right? This honestly reminds me of like, I don't know, TypeScript or something. There's so many lines and just indentation and stuff. Let's give some spacing of 10. We're going to give alignment, FT, main axis alignment in the center. And then where am I here? Okay, this is the right place I should be, I think. And we're going to give alignment to the parent of FT alignment center. At the very bottom of the screen, then, the final parts are going to be our final containers. So I'm going to say FT container, and I'm going to take this a few times. So let's just say ref equals for now. Copy. I think I have 4 data points. So I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 4. The reference on the first container is going to be the, content is equal to FT text. Naturally, this is empty. Going to put nothing there. Padding is 10, and initially visible is equal to false. We should not see this. Visible. And our next one, we want to see the price info. Padding is equal to 10. Again, this is just false. Copy, paste. Why don't I just take these two? Because honestly, it's going to be the same thing. Here we're going to have our chart container. And in our last one, we're going to have our price text below container. Wow, guys, we are done. We are actually done with our application. Spacing is equal to 15. Let's just leave it at that and let's run it. Okay. If name is equal to main, we are going to take our app and we are going to target the main function that we made. Ooh, yeah. Let's give this a run, guys, and look at that. Okay. Let's do a quick test on the stock, get stock. Oh, boom, shakalaka. Look at that. This is the application itself. Holy crap. Okay, so we can now change the days, 90 days. This updates the stock price. You can see the trend. Okay, if we go here, I don't actually know the stock price for anything. Is Amazon like Amazon spelled like AMZN? That looks like Amazon. Yeah, look at that. Okay. If we go for 5 years, stock price, this is a stock tracking application inside using Flet. We've come a long way, and this was a lot of fun. You now have this interactive stock application that uses an API to fetch data, bring it in, and visualize it using charts, all built using the Flet framework. I love this framework. It's a ton of fun. If you got value in today's episode, hit that like button and subscribe. That means the world. So thank you guys. And remember, all the links in the description, they're dedicated to you guys wherever you may be in Python to help you get where you want to be. My newsletter, ebooks, Discord, you name it, they're in the links to help you grow. Well, guys, that's all for this week's episode of Code with Josh. I'll see you next time, Python crew. Until then.